Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm the OPJellicent, and we are team building for our week 1 match in the IBL D-League, up against DeeTrain and his St. Louis Bulus. Apparently he's a very good player, so this should be an interesting matchup. For those of you who may have not followed my draft league stuff in the past, the way I do these team builders is I go over my opponent's roster and each of their Pokemon individually, then I go over the 6 Pokemon that I am bringing one by one to show what I'm going to counter their Pokemon with. So let's go ahead and hop right into the St. Louis Bulus roster right here. They have a Mew for their first overall pick, which is a gigantic threat. Mew is easily the biggest threat to my team. The set that I'm really fearing is a Fizdef set with Calm Mind, Iron Defense, and Roost. The problem with that is it would only have to run one attack, but if they somehow catch my Weavile with another Pokemon, that could really just go in late game, so that's such a giant problem. Another possible set could be a Nasty Plot Rock Polish Sweeper. It does get access to Vacuum Wave to go ahead and hit my Weavile, and it just gets a lot of other coverage moves. Thankfully, it's not a Z-move user, so that makes it significantly less of a threat, but Mew is just a gigantic problem. It can really go defensive to help counter my Mega Lopunny or a more offensive variant, whatever my opponent wants to do right here. Their next Pokemon is Mega Charizard X, which, same with Mew, is just a really big threat to my team. It's a lot more predictable. I'm really expecting a Dragon Dance Roost set with 2 attacks, probably Dragon Claw and Flare Blitz to come right here, just because that coverage basically hits my entire team, so they really don't need to run Earthquake, unless they're really expecting Diancie to come, which I am actually bringing Diancie, but it's not meant to counter Mega Charizard. It's actually doing something else this week, as you guys will see, but yeah, Mega Charizard X is just a giant problem. I do have a counter for it on my team. It is not my Diancie, as you guys will see later. Zeraora, same thing, sort of a big threat. It can obviously outspeed my Mega Lopunny, and Life Orb Close Combat does always OHKO Mega Lopunny, so that's something I have to keep in mind. It can also go ahead and HP Ice my Landorus-T, and it outspeeds my entire team, but I do also have a pivot into Zeraora on my team, which I think can be very helpful. It does get access to Volt Switch though, so even if I try to pivot in with a non-ground type, it could go ahead and get momentum with that, which is obviously very scary. They have the Ribombee right here, which is mainly going to be a Sticky Web setter, I feel, and honestly, I kind of hope Ribombee comes and tries to get up Sticky Webs, because I have a specific anti-lead against that thing. I tried to run Double Hit Mega Lopunny to try to counter that thing, but unfortunately, even with the double hit, I'm not able to 2-hit KO that thing with the Sash, so that's really unfortunate. Well, I mean, 2 double hits with the 2 separate attacks is not going to knock it out, so I opted to run a different tech for the webs this week, and it is still all Mega Lopunny, as you guys will see, and I really do hope the webs come. Zygarde 50% is just another very big problem. I could see either like a very setup-based team coming with like Dragon Net, Zardex, Nasty Plot, Mew, or I could see like a more of a breaker team coming with the webs, plus a lot of choice mons like Choice Band Zygarde, maybe Choice Band Zeraora, and then maybe a Nasty Plot Mew under webs. Those are all possibilities, of course, but obviously Zygarde 50 gets Glare, which is another big problem. My opponent actually has double Glare with this and their next Pokemon, so that's a little bit annoying, but we have prepped for both of them very well, I feel, so that can be very beneficial for me. Yeah, but Zygarde is just a giant problem. Dragon Dance is not really that big of a deal, though, because I do have a specific Pokemon on my team that is designed to take on that. It is also designed to take on the Zeraora, though, that Pokemon, so that could be a little bit tough if that Zeraora weakens this Pokemon, as you guys will see when I go over my squad. The Zygarde could be a little bit of a threat. Superior is another Pokemon that's just a giant problem. Choice Scarf Leaf Storm is definitely one of my favorite sets, and it has a lot of viability against my team. Now, the one thing my opponent does have to fear with Serp is my Weavile. I could run Scarf Weavile and try to outpace that with Icicle Crash. I could also just run Banded Ice Shard, so I'm thinking if Serp comes, it could try to be a Yachi Berry variant with perhaps Glare, Leaf Storm, and then maybe something like a Leech Seed or Substitute. Those are all definitely things I could see coming, so Serp, just one of those annoying Pokemon that I'm going to have to hope I can break through. Cobalion right here is not as big of a threat, just because I do have Pokemon like Reuniclus and Landorus-T to help take that on, but it still definitely can set up Rocks, which Rocks kind of go in against my team between Thundurus-I, Weavile, and potential McMortar bring, which I am not bringing this week, so Rocks could be annoying. I think Cobalion is a very likely lead. Maybe a Focus Sash set or a Sugar Berry set could come right here. Not quite sure. Rotom-Wash is a good pivot into my Landorus-T. Does have to fear Smackdown and Gravity, but I think that if it runs Sugar Berry Rotom-Wash, that would be a really good tech against me. Spoilers, I am actually bringing a Smackdown Landorus, so if Sugar Berry Rotom-Wash does come, that could really work out for my opponent. We'll see, though. Drapion is another Pokemon on my opponent's team, which can obviously set up T-Spikes. Could be really a big nuisance, because I'm not actually bringing Hazard Control this week. I think my biggest game plan is just try to set up my own win con, so I'm not really planning on defogging any Hazards they want to put up and defogging my own in the process. And then finally, Persian Alola right here, which is a Z-move user. alongside the Zeraora, and it can run Z Parting Shot. It is a pretty fast Pokemon. Interesting double Dark on my opponent's team. I'm not really expecting both of them to come, but we will see right here. But yeah, that's going to be my opponent's team. Let's go ahead and get right into my 6 Pokemon. Alright, so first Pokemon I have right here is my Mega Lopunny, which I did mention when going over the Ribombee, is my anti-lead to that. If the webs do come, you see that first move right there is Copycat. Basically, the idea is, if they go for webs, I can go ahead and copycat the webs right back to my opponent's side of the field, which is going to be very valuable, just being able to maintain speed control throughout the entire game. Other than that, we have Return, Hide, Jump Kick, and Fake Out. Pretty standard Mega Lopunny right here. We have enough speed for the Ribombee, which is definitely very good. I did not bother to outspeed the Adamant Zeraora, just because I kind of feel my opponent is forced to run a more jolly or timid Zeraora to outspeed my Mega Lopunny right here. But other than that, I really don't think I need Fake Out against the Ribombee due to Shield Dust. I will always click Return turn 1. One scenario that I was kind of hoping I could see was not Mega Evolving turn 1 to not get paralyzed by the Stun Spore and go ahead and just copycat the turn after, because I would Fake Out the first turn and I could go ahead and webs after. But unfortunately, this league does require you to Mega Evolve turn 1, so Limber is unfortunately not going to be very useful right here against the Ribombee lead. But worst case scenario, if I do Mega Evolve and return them down to Sash and they Stun Spore me, I will click Copycat the turn after, and as long as I don't get fully paralyzed that turn, I will get webs back up to my opponent's side of the field, and that looks good to me. So other than that, Mega Lopunny right here is a really good revenge killer against stuff like Mega Charizard X, a weakened Zeraora. One of the biggest offs to it is Mew. Potentially a Fizdef Mew could be very big, but I love that it's able to go ahead and check Pokemon like Cobalion and Persian. Max Attack does actually break Superior Sub unless my opponent runs an insane amount of bulk. Not running Ice Punch was definitely very scary just for the Zygarde, but I think we can go ahead and make it work. High Jump Kick does a lot of damage to offensive variants, so that can go ahead and probably work out for us, I'm thinking. And let's go ahead and move on to our Weavile. Second Pokemon we have right here is my Weavile, and this is mainly tech for a couple Pokemon on my opponent's team. As you see, we do have the Sub Focus Punch right there, which with the Life Orb boost, it has a roll to OHKO the Cobalion, and it always OHKOs the Alolan Persian, which is definitely very great. So ideally, we can go ahead and make that work. And Weavile behind a Sub just does so well against my opponent's team. I really could not bring it right here. I am foregoing Ice Shard just because I do want Dual Stab. That is not priority with Icicle Crash and Knockoff, so that could be very scary, but I really think we don't need Ice Shard right here. The one thing it would be useful against would be Zygarde, but after a couple boosts or maybe a Banded Extreme Speed, Ice Shard is not going to be outpacing that thing anyway. Another possibility would be against Serp, but I really do expect a Yache Berry Superior to come if that is what my opponent opts to do right here, so not really too worried about the Superior or Zygarde in terms of running Ice Shard right here. I just really think the sub 3 attack set is going to be a lot more valuable. Knocking off the Rotom Wash is definitely very good right here too. My next Pokemon is actually my Wincon, and I really think Sub Life Orb Weavile can help get things in range of that Pokemon, which is very cool. Now, one thing that my opponent might fear is actually a Choice Scarf Weavile. Like, for example, after the Zygarde is Dragon and stuff, they may actually switch out expecting a sort of Choice Scarf Weavile, so I may be able to sub up on that and just go ahead and get a knockout and then be behind a sub. So best case scenario is Weavile subs up, knocks something out, and then is still behind a sub after. Obviously, if I have to click Focus Punch, they will break my sub in the process, but I'm going to be getting a knockout assuming Focus Punch is actually going to be clicked, so that can be very beneficial. Really excited to see whether Sub Life Orb Focus Punch Weavile works out right here. We have Max Speed Jolly just to make sure I can outspeed Ribombee under all circumstances. And let's go ahead and move on to my primary win condition this game. Alright, next Pokemon up right here is my primary win condition for this game, which is my Berry Calm Mind Trick Room Diancie right here. I noticed immediately when looking at my opponent's roster that they do not have a single Fairy Resist on their team. And I was actually originally going to run a Max HP, Max Special Attack, Modest Choice Specs Diancie, but I opted against that and decided to go with a Berry Trick Room Calm Mind Wincon right here, and I really think this can put in the work. The only things that actually take hits after rocks are Pokemon like Rotom Wash, Drapion, and Superior. Everything else is going to just go down. I guess Mew, a bulky Mew, could go ahead and take me on too, but I set up on so many Pokemon. I can set up on a Zeraora, especially if it is intimidated due to my Landorus-T, which is up next. And I really just think this Wincon one can work out. I can even set up on Zygarde, because the Iron Tail is going to be resisted with the Berry, and, well, it would be halved, it wouldn't be resisted. And obviously 1000 Arrows is not going to OHKO a Diancie because of the defenses right here, so that can definitely be very good for me right here, and I'm just really looking forward to this. It's the best Wincon I could find against their team, which I think can kind of work out because I like to run unique sets in draft, and I really think this can do the job right here, so nothing much else to say about this. It's obviously just going to set up and try to win the game at some point tomorrow, and let's go ahead and get right into the Landorus-T. Okay, getting into the second half of my team right here, we have a Lumberry Bulky Attacker Lando-T right here, so the speed investment is actually for a Rotom-Moss. I'm thinking they may run a bit of speed on the Rotom-Moss just to be able to outspeed a potentially more bulky Lando. So I decided to go ahead and speed creep past that, and then we have Smackdown plus Earthquake for that Rotom-Moss if it wants to switch in. We Smackdown and then basically nothing comes in on an Earthquake after. I guess Persian would be the best thing that could come in and try to Parting Shot out, but Weakening Persian is also very good for some of the other Pokemon on my team, such as my Mega Lopunny and my Weavile, so that can be very beneficial. This is also my Stealth Rocker for the game, and I think Rocks are going to be a very vital part of the strategy, being able to chick down Pokemon like Mega Charizard X, as well as the superior Interrange of my Diancie after a Calm Mind, so that's going to be very vital. And then finally we have Hidden Power Iced, just to help blanket check the Zygarde. It's not my main Zygarde check, my next Pokemon is actually meant to check Zygarde, but yeah, Hidden Power Ice can help against that in case of the circumstances. But Lumberry is mainly here for a Will-O-Wisp being Mega Charizard X, just because I don't really want to deal with that, as well as a Will-O-Wisp being Mew. I want to make sure that I can stay healthy and Smackdown and Earthquake that Rotom-Moss, if at all possible. So that's going to be very beneficial for my Diancie, and let's go ahead and get right into my Shaymin. Alright, second to last Pokemon I have right here is my Max HP, Max Defense Bold Shaymin, which is basically meant to counter both the Zero Aura and the Zygarde 50%. Those are really two threats that are just so good at matchup that I have to bring this set to counter both of them. We have Synthesis, Seed Flare, Hidden Power Ice, and Earth Power. I really think Synthesis is a lot more consistent than a Lychee just for recovery purposes. I do value Chip on a lot of Pokemon, as I said, for the Diancie sweep late game, but I really think Longevity with Synthesis is going to be very valuable. Seed Flare is my best stab, and this basically shuts down both of those Pokemon. Now, if Zero Aura starts to set up and then hits me with like a Fire Punch into range of the Zygarde, that could get very scary very fast, because if this thing cannot take on Zygarde, nothing else on my team can really take that on besides my Landorus, but Landorus is one of my better Mega Charizard X teams on the squad, so that's going to be very tough. We'll see how it works out though. I really like that this does not care about Glare at all due to Natural Cure. Obviously, I will be forced to stay in, but as long as I don't get like fully paralyzed or anything, I will be good to go in that regard. Earth Power right here is good tech against Pokemon like Zero Aura mainly, and Mega Charizard X, because it is forced to Mega Evolve right here, so yeah, Shaymin is mainly here as a defensive pivot to Zero Aura and Zygarde. Nothing much else to say about it other than the fact that it can take on Glare, and let's go ahead and move on to my final Pokemon. Alright, and finally, my last Pokemon on the team right here is a Thundurus-I. It is a Darkinium Z Thundurus-I, and the main reason I'm running Darkinium Z is I figured that I wanted a more reliable way to break through the Mew. I think Colbur Berry Mew is definitely a possible bring, and I want to make sure I can go ahead and handle that in case my Weavile does get lured by like for example, a Colbur Berry Drain Punch set and they get all their health back. I want to have a secondary reliable way to go ahead and take that on, and I think Darkinium Z Thundurus right here can break through that. Thunder Wave right here is mainly for Superior in case it is Choice Scarf. Basically, the idea is Thundurus will be my main Superior response. I bring it in, I cannot Big Glare due to my electric typing, and basically, I just go ahead and Thunder Wave that thing in case it is Choice Scarf, and then it is not a threat for the rest of the match, because it will get guaranteed outsped by my Weavile, my Mega Lopunny, and obviously it'll be weakened for Diancie under Trick Room after I U-turn out the next turn. So this is basically meant to shut down Superior as well as break through Mew. Thunderbolt is just a really nice stab. I'm not running Hidden Power Ice, which I really hope does not cost me the game, because I cannot hit the Zygarde and I'm sort of set up fodder for that, but we'll see. I really hope that doesn't end up costing me right here. But yeah, that's going to be the squad. The match will be going live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you all tuned in, and I do hope you all enjoyed the team builder for this week. Be sure to go ahead and check out my opponent down below in the description, and I'll see you all next time. Later.